Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Welcome. We've got another great show for you today. As usual, I've got my pen and paper because we are all lifelong students. We're going to talk about mindset and multifamily strategies to get out of your own way. Rod is going to help us unlock some chambers today. It's going to be super awesome. We have Rod Khleif. Thank you so much for being here, Rod. Especially on short notice.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Well, let's get into it, I guess. For those of you that haven't suffered through my story, let me kind of give you a little background on me and tell you who I am and where I come from. So I'm a Dutch immigrant. Like VN, I'm an immigrant, but I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills, and ended up in Denver, Colorado, which we were just talking about, where I lived for 30 years. When I got here, we really struggled. I just saw some movement. Everything okay? We good?
Yeah,
we're good.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So you'll see some comments and stuff coming through.
Okay. Live. All right. Fantastic. Well, anyway, so ended up in Denver, like I said, really struggled initially. In fact, this was 1966, and I remember we ate expired food. We shopped at an expired food store and drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. And I remember wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school until I finally lied about my age when I was 14 and went and worked at Burger King at 84th and Pecos, VN, if you know where that is.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway.
There's a hospital there, Rod.
Right? No, I know. I worked at the Denny's there, the Winchell's there, the Bob's House of Pies there, and Burger King. Yeah.
Wow.
Hated every bit of it. But, it's really struggled initially. And yeah, you're right. It is just white water, whoever said that. Anyway, but luckily my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She actually invested in the stock market, invested in IPOs successfully, and also invested in real estate. Her first real estate acquisition was the house right across the street from us. When I was about 14, she paid about $30,000. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. And I'm like, what? You just made $20,000? You didn't do anything? What? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license actually in Colorado, which back then you could do with education. So right when I turned 18, I was a broker. I could have my own office. They got smart. Now you need some experience to be a broker, but I was a broker. And so I was going to be rich in real estate. Well, I was still living at home with my mom. My first year, I maybe made about $8,000. My second year, maybe $10,000. But my third year made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was pretty good money. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy, I was dating his daughter, and he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is just that, your mindset and psychology. Mm-hmm. Only 10 to 20% is the the mechanical information that we teach. I teach on my podcast and you guys talk about on your show here. Really the bulk of it is actually taking action with what you learn. And so fast forward to today, I've owned, over 2,000 houses. I had 500 houses in Denver at one time. I own thousands of apartment units now. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. Wow. And I said, wow. And I got a head so big I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a freaking real estate god. And when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008. I lost $50 million in 2008 and 9. And so, what I'm known for talking about on my podcast and, when I teach is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. And then, maybe as importantly, maybe even more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from losing 50 million to the success that I'm blessed to have today. So let's get into it. It starts, and people ask me, how did you recover from losing $50 million? I mean, people killed themselves for losing less than that proportionately.
I lose $100, I'm crying,
Right.
I can't imagine 50 million. Jeez.
Right. So anyway, it starts with being very, very clear on what it is that you want and why you want it. You have to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, calls a burning desire. And so, if you come to one of my boot camps, I actually have one this weekend, which I'll give you guys a hell of a deal on if you want to come, but it's virtual, and I don't sell anything there. So just know that you're not going to get sold. But the first thing we do is goal setting on steroids, because how the heck do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what it is. You got to know why you want it. You've got to create that burning desire. You've got to have that to push through fear, to push through limiting beliefs. You've got to have written goals, and you've got to know why those goals are an absolute must. Or maybe you're comfortable. Comfort zone is a nice warm place, and we all know nothing freaking grows there, right? So that's why you need those goals. And when you have that, and you pair up that even average ability with a burning desire, success is inevitable. Okay. But you got to have that burning desire, because you're going to get knocked down in this or any business. You're going to, have setbacks. And if you really know what it is you want, and this is how I got back up after losing $50 million. And I have not met anybody that lost more than that yet. And if you know anybody, let me know so I feel better about it. But it starts with goal setting. Now, by the way, if you can't make my event this weekend, maybe you can put this in the chat. If you go to rodslinks.com, rods plural, links plural.com, I did my goal setting on January 2nd of this year. I do it every year. And I did it on January 2nd of this year, and it's there. And it's free, and there's a guide you can download. Here's the sad reality, guys. People spend more time planning a freaking Christmas party than they do designing their lives. This is designing your life. So if you've got a spouse, have them watch it. You watch it. If you've got kids over 10 years old, have them do it, because then you're designing your life, and it's super powerful. And I promise, I'll keep even if you've got, like I say, teenagers, younger kids, I'll keep them entertained, and they'll get juiced. And what a great way to get them started. So again, I'll tell you how you can come to my boot camp, and I do that first. If you're going to do that, then you don't have to do it there, but because we'll do that, and it's the same thing. But it starts with that. And then after you've, done your goals and done your whys, the next step is you got to make a decision. Okay. And and I'll talk about vision boards in a minute. In fact, I can show you some behind my green screen. Oh no, you can't see them. This is a different platform. I've got vision boards on the floor behind me here, Ebony, nice. and pictures of the things that I want around me. But after you, and I talk about that, by the way, if you join me for my goal setting thing, I show you my vision boards, and I show you my, in fact, I'll show you something here real quick. Please know I'm not bragging with this, okay? But since you brought it up, Ebony, I'll show you. Okay, so this is, you can't even see it. Crap. Well, anyway, maybe I'll turn off my green. Hang on. Maybe I can turn off my green screen. You guys can see it, because I'd love to show this to you. Hang on. Virtual background. How do I turn it off? Does it let me turn it off? No, yes, there it is. Yes. Okay, we're green. All right. So anyway, now I should be able to show this to you. So this is my planner. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. I use a paper planner. But in the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for literally 22 years. Okay. Now, everything you bring into your life, you do it with gratitude. I'm getting kind of a little ahead of myself, but since Ebony asked the question, I'll show you. So these first pictures are my gratitude pictures. My children are 32 and 27. These are pictures of my kids when they were very young. This is how you manifest everything you want in life. Now, you can call it prayer, but this is how you do it. And so these are pictures of my kids, because it all starts with gratitude. Then I've got pictures of the houses that I wanted. And let me tell you about this. Okay, so when I was 18, I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver, obviously, but I would visualize palm trees and sand and surf. And 20 years later, I built this $8 million mansion on the beach, which was unthinkable when I was 18. Okay. But I made it happen. And this is one of the ways I did it. Okay. Now, I'll give you some other examples as well as to how I manifested things in my life. Before I keep showing you some pictures here. So, when I got my real estate broker's license, I knew I had to have a 4-door car, right? So I went out and bought this bone ugly Ford Granada, just a piece of crap. And the guy I was working for that was dating his daughter, he had 2 Corvettes. Okay, Gino was his name, and he let me take her out in one. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. So I got a picture out of a magazine of a Corvette. This before anybody had thought of the internet, and put that picture of that Corvette on the visor of that bone ugly Granada. And within a year or two, I had a beautiful red Corvette. Now, I'll give you a couple more examples, but please know, again, I'm not bragging because this stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, but I'm hoping to inspire you to what's possible.
Sure.
So this is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out there, and the actor's name was Tom Selleck, and I think he was a detective in Hawaii, but he drove a Ferrari 308. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the first time I'd ever seen an exotic car. So I got a picture of that actual car, put it on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Last example. Wow. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. I had the posters in my room growing up of Lamborghinis. And what's crazy is my son collected models of exotic cars. He had the Ferraris and the Porsches and the McLarens, and he had the Lamborghini model, exact same color and style that I ended up getting, which I wrecked.
Wow.
But anyway, back to these. So you've got to have this stuff. So what's crazy is like this top picture looks just like the house I built on the beach. I had 10-foot high glass like that, travertine floors. Now, I don't know if you remember the backdrop that I had on my virtual, but you see these white walls in these 2 pictures. I've got that picture is my backyard now. I lost that house and all the craziness back when I lost everything. And now I live in a compound. I've got 6 buildings, a big main house. I've got a media building with a video studio that I built because I had to go virtual because of COVID. And that's where I'll be doing the event this weekend. But and I've got a guest house on the water. It's just spectacular exercise facility. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay that I lost, this mansion I was talking about.
Wow.
But anyway, it looks just like these bottom
Oh my
pictures, which is
goodness.
just crazy. And then, other things that I wanted, watches. I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches. That's still a vice, I'll admit that. But there's a Lamborghini before I ever got it.
Nice.
The Rolls Royce, the Bentley, all this stuff that I got because I had pictures. And again, if this stuff turns you off, that's cool. Replace it with what you want, okay? But while we're on this, I'll just bring this home. Every morning I will typically sit in this. Hold on. In this recliner, you can see behind me here, okay? And there's by the way, there's my vision boards on the floor. You can kind of see some of the pictures there on the right side.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put this down just because it's a mess and it's distracting. But by the way, there's also some of the hundreds and hundreds of thank you cards I've gotten from some of my students over the years. Whole walls covered with them. My coaching students own somewhere upwards of about 140,000 units. Come on now. Don't embarrass me. There we go. Anyway, on somewhere upwards of about 140,000 units that we know of, and I've only been teaching for 5 years, so I'm super proud of that.
Wow.
So anyway, so that's about goals. Get those pictures, put them around you. Thank you for reminding me, Ebony. I might have forgotten to do that. But and that's how, but what I'll do is I'll sit in that recliner in the morning and I will just do gratitude. I'll just do gratitude for my supermodel, beautiful wife, and she really is, and she's more beautiful on the inside than the outside. My kids, my coaching students, my foundation. I'll just do gratitude, but then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. And sometimes I'll get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. And you might be thinking, oh God, he lost me here, foo-foo land. Well, this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Okay. So ignore it at your peril. All right. So once you got the burning desire going, then you got to make a decision. And I'm not talking about dipping your toe in the water. I'm not talking about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, you make a decision, it is freaking done, okay? And when you make that decision, you are 100% committed. And when you are 100% committed, you're like a train on a track. Now, if you're just interested, you're going to get knocked off track, okay? So, and when you're committed, it's no longer just a dream. It becomes an outcome. I'm going to tell you, motivation will get you started, but it's commitment that's going to bring you home. Okay. And so, you really need to make sure you make that decision. Now, when I say decision, a great analogy for a real decision is you're going to attack the island. You're burning your ships because you're taking their ships home. It's done. There's no backing out. It's freaking done. That's a decision. So it starts with that. Then you've got to take that first step. And, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And sometimes that that small step can be the biggest step in your life. Okay. So, but it starts that way. And some of you, who may be analytical, and you know who you are, need to check off every single box before you make a move. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you, opportunity is coming. It's upon us. Okay. Everything is going on sale. Okay. The greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us. And I think it's going to be much uglier than a lot of people are saying. Some of the wealthiest people on the planet say it's going to be super ugly. Elon Musk says they're lying. This is a quote. They're lying. It's going to be a much bigger crash than they say. Jamie Dimon says head of Chase says it's going to be a severe depression or severe recession. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, says it's going to be really bad. Of course, Kiyosaki's been talking about it for years. I think it's going to be pretty bad. And so, incredible opportunity is coming. And so we can talk about how to prepare for that. But again, if you are analytical, don't sit there and wait on this, okay? Because here's the analogy. You can drive all the way across the United States at night. This is just an example of this. Is you can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you. And, you can make it, okay? You may have obstacles. Other people have done it before you. It's the same way with your goals, okay? And so, but you got to take that first step, and you've got to make it happen. Just here's the thing. This life is not a dress rehearsal. You don't want any regrets. And get a great example about regret. There was this nurse in Australia that took care of patients right before they died. She was a hospice nurse. Her name was Bronnie Ware. And she asked these patients she was taking care of, she asked them a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You want to know what the number one regret was? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. Okay. So no regrets, guys. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing let's talk about is positive expectation and optimism. Maybe you've heard the expression, if you choose to win or you choose to lose, you're right. Whatever you choose, or expect to win or expect to lose, you're right. Whatever you expect, you're going to get. See, here's the thing. Most people focus on what they don't want. If someone comes up to me and they say, how you doing, Rod? And I say, oh my God, I am freaking fantastic. Life is amazing. Holy cow, hold me back. They'll say, oh crap, Rod's off his meds. Okay.
Yeah.
But if they came up to me and said, how you doing? I said, oh man, my back is freaking killing me. I just, lost 20 grand in the market. They'll put their arm around you and say, oh, I feel you, brother. See, we connect through pain. Don't be that person. Okay. You want positive expectation. You want to, don't minimize your expectations. Don't operate from fear or limiting beliefs. And, here's what you do. You decide and you declare what it is you want, and God or the universe will conspire to make it happen. Okay. When you expect amazing things, you're going to get amazing things. Okay.
Yep.
And so, and remember one other thing, you choose the meaning you place on what happens to you. When I lost $50 million, I could wallow in that. And again, people killed themselves in 2008, 9, and back in the Great Depression for losing less proportionately than I lost. But you can choose the meaning you place on it. I just came off a Tony Robbins event, literally came back Monday for 5 days, called Business Mastery. And so this is fresh in my mind. And this is his stuff about meaning. But the meaning I placed on is I never would have met my wife. And if you saw my wife, you'd see what I mean. She's she's more beautiful on the inside than the outside, and she's spectacularly beautiful on the outside. And again, so that's my meaning that I place on it. The other thing I want to tell you is I also utilize I am statements. Okay. And what they do is they help me at times when, I'm trying to build something in myself, like my courage or something else. And so I'll give you an example of this. So see on the wall here, you see, I am success. I am the best in the world at what I do. I am a business genius. This is not ego. This is what I'm aspiring to embody. My exercise room, I've got, I'm health and fitness. I am courage. I'm determination. I am focus. And anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. And there's no greater force in the human psyche than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. So if there's some area of your life you want to build up, go on Vistaprint, have something made up that says I am, whatever it is you need to build up, have it printed, throw it on your wall like I did here. And I yell it out at the top of my lungs when I'm exercising. I used to yell it out running down the streets. My kids, my son and my daughter will help me at my live events. And that's the question they get most often. Does he really do that shit? Does he run and they're like, oh yeah. Now I luckily have a pretty kick-ass exercise facility at my house here, so nobody has to suffer through that. But hey, listen, this is how I had 50 million. Okay. This is by embodying this stuff, by owning what I needed to own, by bringing it home, by having the visualization, the screensavers about the things I wanted, the things on the wall, there's things on the wall you can't even see here that I want now, all of that stuff, So, all right, the next thing let's talk about is fear and limiting beliefs. So when I immigrated to this country, I didn't speak English. And I got thrown into school, and I found out what bullies were for the first time. I got my butt kicked on a regular basis. I hadn't learned how to fight back yet. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she was, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts that the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. Yeah, those lederhosen. So I got my ass kicked again. And then we had bullies. We had bullies at the end of my street, and they would chase me home, and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day. And that coupled with getting embarrassed once on the playground because I had this crush on this girl and she made fun of me in front of other kids. And, I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. And I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And a lot of people have these limiting belief systems, like I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not analytical enough. That's another one of mine. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And here's the thing. Recognize that the acronym for belief systems is BS. There's a reason that's what the acronym is, because it is BS. 99.9% of them have no basis in fact. And so, but what you've got to do if you have one of these is you've got to drag it out in the daylight. I mean, I used to be afraid of raising my hand in class, afraid I'd get embarrassed or humiliated. Now I speak in front of thousands of people a year in flip-flops and shorts now. I don't care,
Very true.
I used to care, and I don't. It's like, if you don't like me for who I am, then that's on you. And but if you've got one of these belief systems, like you're not enough, drag it out to the daylight. Look at it with your adult rational mind. Recognize that it's BS. And the more times you consciously, that's the operative word, that you consciously do that, the more it'll diminish and go away. So the next thing I want to talk about is focus. Focus is power. Where focus goes, energy flows. And I'm going to tell you, the most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. And here's the thing, though. Whatever you focus on gets larger, both positive or negative. Now, if you are watching this right now, you're a leader. And I'm going to tell you right now, more than ever, the world needs leaders, okay? But as a leader, it's critical that you pay attention to what you're focusing on. And, if you get sucked into the crap that's on the news, which is that's exactly what it is. You don't even know what to believe anymore. When you watch the news, you have to stand guard at the door to your mind as a leader. Okay. Bring in the good stuff. On my podcast, if you go to Rod's links, you'll see the link for my podcast as well. When we just broke 15 million downloads, which I'm really proud of.
Nice.
Wow.
I do a clip every week called Own Your Power. It's 5 minutes and it's motivational. There's music. You give me 5 minutes a week. I'll juice you. Okay. And so, but even if it's not me, go on YouTube, watch motivational videos. I love watching soldiers come home and stuff like that. And just watch the good stuff. Keep the crap out, because again, what you focus on gets larger. I get students not students, they know better, but I get people that call me and they'll say like, how do I get out of student loan debt? I'm like, wrong question. How do you make so much freaking money that the debt's irrelevant? Okay. That's the question you want to ask. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. You get it?
Uh-huh.
So it's really important to pay attention to your focus. Another thing is avoid decision fatigue. I'm going to back to focus for 1 second. So I listen to two podcasts, Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan. I get both sides of the aisle, try to stay balanced. And Tim Ferriss interviews the best of the best in different walks of life, like the best athletes, Michael Phelps, the swimmer, and NBA, NFL players, billionaires like Ray Dalio, heads of CEOs of the largest companies in the world, Zuckerberg, actors like Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Arnold, Hugh Jackman. And he deconstructs how they achieve that success. And I started to see a pattern. They all meditate, or almost all of them. What does meditation enhance? focus. Okay, so focus is really important. And I'll tell you something else. I don't know about you, but I'll be sitting watching Netflix, scrolling through freaking TikTok videos or some other social media crap. And here's the bad thing about that. When you're doing that, it kills your ability to focus because your brain is making these split-second micro decisions as you're scrolling. So just keep that in mind. Very, very important that you minimize that as much as you can. Now, the other thing with decision fatigue is if you ever see me speak, I'm almost always be in one of these V-neck t-shirts. They're all, this happens to be navy blue. They're normally black. I thought I'd change it up with the navy blue, but I have about 100 of them. Okay. The only time you won't see me in one of these is when my wife says, you're not wearing one of those damn ugly t-shirts. but the point is, I don't want to think about what I'm going to wear. So if I'm going to go present, I throw one of these on. I never think about it. All right. The next thing is super important as it relates to multifamily real estate. And that is you must play to your strengths, okay? Multifamily real estate is a team sport. You're not going to do it yourself. I bought 2,000 houses pretty much by myself. I had some employees, but it was pretty much me. I wouldn't even think about buying multifamily, just me, okay? And so, but here's the beautiful thing with multifamily: there's lots of different hats you can wear. You can be the mouthpiece like I am, out there building relationships with potential investors or sellers or brokers. You could be the underwriter. Maybe you love spreadsheets and you're underwriting deals. You could be involved in asset management. Maybe you've got some project management experience or construction experience or any management experience really, and you could do asset management. So a lot of different hats you can wear, but you want to play to your strengths. Why? Because your strengths are your greatest assets. Okay, don't try to maximize your weaknesses, because when you're playing to your strengths, success comes much faster. What you do is you align, you hire or partner for your weaknesses. And here's the thing: when you love what you do, success is inevitable. Some of the best partnerships I see are an analytical person with an outgoing person. And so, so how do you find out what your strengths are? You can do a Myers-Briggs profile. Tony Robbins has something called a DISC profile, DISC. You can Google that. It's free and very accurate. But it's important that you play to your strengths. And then, I will tell you that when you do that, first of all, you never work another day in your life. I mean, here it is, 8:30 at night. I'm with you guys. My gorgeous wife is in the bedroom watching TV, and I could be in with her. I'm here with you because I freaking love this. Okay. So when you love what you do, you work is play. You never work another day in your life. And so, and here's the other thing: when you love what you do, you're passionate. Okay. And to influence people, you need to have passion. And every day you're influencing people, your spouse or your kids, definitely in business. You're going to influence brokers and sellers and investors to invest with you. And again, when you love what you do, that ability to influence is right there for you because they see it. Okay. And so success requires you to be able to influence, and influence requires you to have some passion about what it is you do. And so, and the passion really is the fuel, and the passion also minimizes or even eliminates fear. And so discover what juices you and do that. Passion breeds creativity and innovation. So again, when you're loving what you do, you're in passion. The next thing let's talk about is your peer group. So when I was losing everything back in 2008 and 9, I was in Tony Robbins' mastermind. It's called his Platinum Partnership. And I may join again. I got kind of excited when I was there this last week. But back when I joined, it was about $130,000 all in. Okay, just to give you an idea. And I'm in masterminds all the time. I'm in several today right now that aren't nearly that much money. And I formed my own mastermind as well. But back in 2008 and 9, when I was losing everything, I was around people that were killing it. Okay, they were thriving in that crash, and they're like, "Get up, you puss! 50 million, we'll make it happen." Let me ask you a question. Who do you want to be around when the what's hitting the fan? You want to be around people that are like that, right? Not around people that are afraid of your fear, or maybe they're afraid of your success, that they'll feel less than, or maybe they have their own limiting beliefs, and maybe they're afraid of losing you. And sometimes that's family. And I'm going to tell you, love your family, but choose your peers proactively. Decide who you're going to allow to influence you, because they will hold you back otherwise. You want to be around people that will hold you accountable, that'll hold you to a higher standard, like the people that were in that group. I'm still friends with. And so, a rising tide lifts all ships. Okay. And so, if you're going to play tennis, for example, do you want to play somebody that's better than you or worse than you? Right? You know the answer. And so, I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. So I formed my own mastermind. I did it here at my compound. I had 16 people, about $1 billion in assets represented. This was 4 years ago. And now there's 16 billion in assets in there. And because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. Right? So get around people like that. And that's why my coaching program has been so incredibly successful. That's right. Proactively. That's why my coaching program has been so successful because, out of those 140,000 units that we know of that they own, it's almost all done between warriors, my coaching students. Let me mention my boot camp real quick before I forget. So I've got a boot camp this weekend, guys. Okay. It's this Saturday and Sunday. It's virtual. And I teach every aspect of this business. I mean, it's 16 to 18 hours of training. I don't sell anything there, nothing being sold. And I'll let you come for $47 freaking dollars. Okay. And it comes with some incredible bonuses. Okay. It comes with my deal evaluator software and my document library. And you get the recordings for $47 freaking dollars. Okay. So here's the thing. Go to Rod's Links. You'll see my boot camp website at the top of Rod's Links, but you got to use the code mindset. I put that in just for you guys.
Yep.
Okay. Rod's Links, and you go and use the code mindset. You come for $47. You get the recordings, you get the document library, you get my deal evaluator software, and you get 16 to 18 hours of training this weekend. This is the manual. Okay. This is the manual. It's not like I'm going to tease you. Okay. And give you fluff. Okay. I'm going to knock you. It's going to be drinking through a freaking fire hose. I'm going to tell you, I've never had a complaint about the bootcast. I've had literally thousands of people attend. That's a lie. They complain that the breaks are too short because I do 15-minute breaks every couple hours. And trust me, they're harder on me than you because I have to eat and pee and everything. Sorry, TMI. I do everything in those 15 minutes. So I don't want to hear about it. But listen, if you are freaking serious about this business, get your butt to my boot camp this weekend. Do the goal setting. I spend a lot of time on mindset, but every aspect of this business, finding deals, evaluating deals, financing the deals, raising all the money you need for your deals, underwriting them, the due diligence, how to do a syndication. I have an SEC attorney do that. We have 3 panels each day. There'll be billions represented by the panelists, to answer questions. And again, nothing being sold. So for $47, I don't want to hear your excuse. Okay. There is no excuse. Get your butt there. I promise you'll be glad you came. If you come and you don't love it, I don't mean like it. I mean freaking love it. I'll give you your freaking $47 back. I'll call you an idiot, but I will give
That's
you
an insult.
back. All right. Anyway, you came to my boot camp, right, Toby?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Massive value.
Was it good? Thank you.
It was great. I did it while I was driving home from a trip, and I had to pull over several times just so I could take notes. That's how good it was.
Thank you. So anyway, again, go to Rod's Links, use the code mindset, and I'll see you this weekend. But anyway, so now let's talk about success habits. Okay. We all have habits, and some of these habits traject our life up and some of them down. And I suppose the easiest thing to parallel them to would be like your health, like a burger or exercise. Okay. A veggie shake or a candy, you know what I mean? And
right.
So think about what your habits are. You need habits for success. Like that thing I do in the morning, sitting behind my recliner, just doing gratitude for 2 minutes. Okay. Visualizing what I want, visualizing, the things that I want as if I already have them. So habits will make or break you. Okay. Change your habits, you change your life. Okay. So success habits would be focusing on your goals every day, eliminating the busy work, actually doing income generating activity instead of asking people if your logo looks okay. Actually making the phone calls. I give my students shit if they send me their logo and say, "What do you think of this logo?" I'm like, "How many brokers have you called today? How many deals have you looked at?
Yeah.
How many deals have you underwritten?" So I'm saying
Exactly.
income generating activity.
But what about my website, Rod?
Yeah, exactly. A success habit is being relationship and team driven, building relationships, taking massive freaking action, having incredible self-discipline. And so, the next thing let's chat about is tenacity or grit. I will tell you, tenacity, it beats education or income or background every single time. Okay. The bottom line is you just don't quit. I'll tell you, I remember when I lost everything in 2008 and 9, I built this litigation support company. And in 2010, I almost had to bankrupt. At the end of 2010, I had to innovate. I had to pivot, okay, because it just wasn't working anymore. And I did that, and it turned into a $10 million company with 60 employees that I sold a few years ago. Wow. But I had to innovate. And, when COVID hit, I had 800 people scheduled for Orlando, okay? And I'd sold half those tickets. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? And so I literally, when you go to that multifamily virtual bootcamp site, you'll see Rod on his phone recording the damn video for that thing, okay? So, and I need to change it at some point. But that was on my phone. That was when it happened, like literally within days. I pivoted instantly, set up a video studio, and it's a pretty cool studio now. It's luckily I had a building here I could do it in. But I had to innovate or pivot. Now, maybe you, if you're listening or watching, maybe you need to innovate or pivot. And if you do, don't be afraid of it. Okay. Some of the biggest, strongest, most enduring companies in the world were built in tough times, and we're heading into some tough times. And that's why the goals are so freaking important. If you can't do the boot camp, for God's sakes, do the goals so that you're focused on what you want, not what you don't want. Because if you get sucked into the news, you're going to get paralyzed in fear and you won't do anything. And you'll miss out what could be the greatest opportunity of your lifetime coming. And I don't say that lightly. I know I was hiding under a rock in 2009. If I hadn't been, I'd probably be on the back of a yacht right now. Okay. Because I'd lost everything. I thought I was set for life. And it took me a bit to recover. I'm human. But the point is, opportunity is definitely upon us again. Even if it's a mild recession, there's still going to be incredible opportunities in multifamily because a lot of these operators did bridge debt these last couple of years, and they're in trouble. I mean, a lot of them are in trouble. I had a call with a bridge lender today, and they've got people that aren't paying. We were looking at an asset in San Antonio, and the guy's reserve payment with his bridge lender went from $8,000 a month to $80,000 a month. Okay, just significant stuff like that. So opportunities. So back to tenacity. There's a book called 3 Feet from the Gold about a miner that gave up. I'm getting some background noise. Bien, I think that was just you moving some papers around. Sorry. Okay. So there was a book about a miner that gave up 3 feet from the gold. It's a true story. So that's an example of that. It's staying power. It's grit. It's courage, resolve, stubbornness. It's fortitude. And I'm going to tell you, normal talent plus extraordinary tenacity, like I said, equals massive success every time. It's staying focused on your goal. Are you going to have setbacks? Are you going to get your nose bloodied? Are you going to get your butt kicked? Yes. But if you've got that outcome in your mind and you hit a wall, you change your approach and stay focused on that outcome. That's a success strategy. If you hit a wall and you change your approach and try a different approach, and there's no straight line to goals. Like a plane or a boat or off course probably 90% of the time, but they reach their destination. And it's always, and it's the same way with your goals, guys. So just keep that in mind and recognize that every setback and every failure is nothing but a seminar. I was telling these guys before we started recording that I call my failures seminars. Okay. And I built 27 businesses in my lifetime, several worth tens of millions of dollars, most spectacular flaming seminars. Okay. We fail our way to success. In fact, that's the next. Let's talk about failure for a minute. It's only a failure if you give up or you don't learn. Problems and setbacks are a gift. They're feedback. I'll give you an example of this. I did a survey with my warriors and, hey, how can we improve things? And I had 4 warriors complain about their coach. I'm like, holy crap. What's going on? It was the same coach who's walking around with half his butt missing right now. In fact, he won't be coaching any longer. But I would not have known if I hadn't sent that survey out. I was expecting raving. I mean, I've got raving fan clients, and I was just floored. And so if I hadn't done that, so I welcome critical feedback. If you come to my boot camp on Monday, you'll get a survey saying, hey, what'd you think? And obviously 99.9% of the responses like loved it, raving, loved it. And I'm looking for any critical feedback whatsoever to help me make it better. Henry Ford says an airplane takes off against the wind. So just recognize that you're going to have pushback I didn't know they had planes back then, but I guess they did. But anyway, that's a true quote. But, problems are a gift. Problems are learning opportunities. And I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx. The women's undergarments that hold everything together. Men that like anyway.
I know that from Shark Tank, not because I'm wearing Spanx or anything.
You know her? Was she
Shark
on
Tank.
Oh, was
Yeah,
she?
she's been on Shark Tank a few times.
Sarah Blakely. She's a beautiful human being. So I met her at a mastermind, like I talk about mastermind, and she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, practically, what have you failed at this week? And I thought, what an awesome freaking question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure. Don't fear failure, guys. Fear being in the same freaking place a year from now that you are right now because you didn't take action. That's what you want to fear. Fear regret. Like I said, Sarah Blakely is amazing. She's a beautiful human being, just a beautiful human being. She started with $5,000 and she's a billionaire now. She's in Forbes. She sold part of the company to an equity fund or a venture capital fund, and she's a billionaire. So, but really cool lady. But anyway, the next thing I want to hammer home with you is gratitude. Gratitude. I told you when I do my visualization, gratitude is. It's the most foundational and important emotion we have. You can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. You can't be stressed, which is just the Cheever's word for fear, and grateful at the same time. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. Gratitude makes us stronger when we face adversity. It actually strengthens our immune system, makes our heart stronger, lowers our blood pressure, brings us closer to our spirituality, and so I'm going to encourage you to embrace gratitude and if you join me this weekend or even on the, just watch the goal setting video on my Rod's links. The thing I do at the end is a weekly planning process. Okay. And I do it at my boot camp, but I do it the next day. I do it on Sunday, but I do this weekly planning process, which is how I manage, two very large companies at the same time. And one of the pieces of that process is to journal, and ideally journal magic moments that you had the previous week, especially if you have kids. I did this with my kids, and I just thank God that I did, because you forget so much. And so at least once a week, and I recommend you do it every day, but at least once a week you journal for 5 minutes. Anything amazing that brought tears to your eyes that week, or could have, or just was amazing. Capture that. And I will tell you, with my wife, I bought this leather-bound journal. It had 100 pages in it, really cool looking, kind of aged-looking leather thing. And every day I wrote what I loved about her and what I liked about her. I filled up a whole page. And there were days I did not want to do it because I was pissed at her. But can you imagine how I showed up in the relationship because I was focused on the best parts of her, and I gave it to her for her birthday, and it's in her little shrine, which is her closet on the shelf in her closet. But anyway, gratitude attracts everything you want into your life, and like I said, I do it every morning in this recliner behind me, just for 2 minutes. Sometimes I'll do it in bed, but just for 2 minutes. What am I grateful for that I have? And then what am I grateful for that I want? And it's very, very powerful. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is I told you about that house on the beach. I'm going to just describe this thing. I worked for this thing for 20 years. It was 10,000 square feet, big spiral staircase up through the middle of it, elevator, wine cellar. I owned the beach on one side. I had my boats on the backside. It's called a Gulf to Bay. It was a slice through an island. I had a giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get to the pool. Pool was in magazines. I'll land the plane with this. On the second floor, I had aquariums built around the spiral staircase that cost me almost $200,000. So that gives you an idea of the house. 2 months after I moved in, okay, I worked for this thing for 20 freaking years. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. It's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. This place is magnificent. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove the world I was good enough. And I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I was really bummed. And I'm like, what the hell? I had the Maserati in the garage. I had Mercedes for my wife and I had boats, the jet skis, all this stuff. And I'm like, how could I possibly be depressed? I've just achieved success like times 1,000. And here's what was going on. And I want to leave you with this. First of all, as it relates to goals, you should never reach a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. You need a vision for your future. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for your future. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was number one. Number two is it's never about the goals. You need the goals to create that burning desire so you actually get off your butt and make something happen. But, they say the happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. It's the same way with goals. I worked for that thing for 20 years. Within 2 months, it wasn't that big a deal anymore. I mean, it's still beautiful and I love driving to it. But the point is, it's not about the goals. Happiness comes from progress and growth. And so if you do my weekly planning process, either with my boot camp or on Rod's links, and you go to the goal setting thing, I do that at the end. Like I said, one of the things on that planning process is to take 2 seconds and pat yourself on the back for anything you did that week. Because if you're acknowledging consciously your progress, when you hit a setback or a delay or denial or whatever, you'll still be happy because you're progressing and growing. Okay. And the goals are really about who you become on your path to your goals. So that was the second thing. But the big thing that was happening back then was I was totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. Rod. Well, that's a year. And so when that happened, I went out and bought some books. I got Dale Carnegie and Zig Ziglar at the time. I got a Tony Robbins book. And I started reading Tony's book. It's called, I think it was Unleash the Power Within. And I got about halfway through and I'm like, man, I like this stuff. So I went and saw him live. And I'd highly recommend him. I spent 20 years following him around the planet. I was on his team for 8 years. And again, I just went to his boot camp literally back Monday. But I saw that he fed families for the holidays, and he has fed millions. And so I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. This is 23 years ago. I'm saying I just turned 63. And so I came back home, and I called my brother in Denver, who I was going to visit for Thanksgiving. I said, bro, let's feed 5 families. He's like, okay. And so he called his church, found 5 families that really needed help. We had a blast buying all the food and toys for the kids if they had all kinds of stuff. The third family changed my life. We go up to this door. It was a Hispanic woman with 5 kids in what wasn't even a 1-bedroom. It was a crappy 1-bedroom. She had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which had the bathroom office, one of those row houses. And she comes out and she sees all this stuff on the porch that we bought, and she starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of them start crying. Rod starts crying. And I was hooked. And I'm blessed to say in the last 23 years, we fed 130,000 children here in Sarasota, Florida. Now, there's a message here. It's not me bragging. And we've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We've done tens of thousands of teddy bears to local police departments. In fact, we're doing 800 or 1,000 next week. I'm giving them to the Sarasota Sheriff's Department, to officers to keep in their vehicles if they encounter a child, that's been traumatized or scared or in a bad situation. And so cool. I bring this up. Thank you. I bring this up again, not to brag, to let you know that, you may be watching this and you're saying, oh yeah, well, you had money, you gave back. No, listen, we've been taught that we have to achieve to be happy. Like we shouldn't be happy until we've achieved. And I'm going to tell you, if you give back in any fashion, you're happily achieving. Okay. I know it's a play on words, but hear me now. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You want to learn multifamily, get your butt to my boot camp. I will give you the map, the blueprint, what you need to do. You just got to go do it, okay? That's a science. Achievement's a science. But fulfillment's an art. You've got to figure out what juices you. For me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's animals or the environment or the elderly. Whatever it is, give back right freaking now, okay? Because then you'll be fulfilled. I will tell you, I've interviewed some of the biggest operators in multifamily on the planet, 100,000 units, 20,000 units. And I can tell if they're like I was before I had that epiphany. And I feel sorry for them because, yeah, they may have financial success, but they're not fulfilled and they're not truly happy. So if you give back, the money comes faster. That's the way God works. Whatever you give back out of the universe. Whatever you believe, doesn't matter. It works regardless. You give, you get it back 100-fold. Now, you don't do it for the money. You do it to just to give back. But I'm just telling you, that's how it works. And so pick something, give back right now, even if it's just your time. And success is inevitable. When I had 900 people at a Denver boot camp last year. And we did a Hall of Fame for my warriors. Those are my actual one-on-one coaching students. We did a Hall of Fame, and I picked 10 out of 1,200. I picked 10 that were exemplary. And we did a little slide for each one of them. And I noticed a pattern. We just to kind of, how many units you had, what they did, how long they were a warrior and stuff like that. And we gave them a cool award and stuff. But every single one of them does something charitable. Sexual trafficking does something there. Veterans homelessness, veteran suicide. Building schools in India, every single one of them did something. Guys, that is a freaking clue. These were my top students out of 1,200. Okay, that's called a clue. Okay. Anyway, I'm happy to take some questions. If any of you guys have any questions, If not,
yeah, break them in.
Your butts at my boot camp.
Let me find that link.
There is no excuse.
$47. Rod's links.
And use the code
There it
mindset.
is.
Use the code mindset.
Code
You get
mindset.
the recordings. Even if you can't make the whole thing, you get the recordings. You'll get the bonuses are worth a couple $1,000s. I've got like 20,000 in those documents. So again, anyway, happy to take a question if you got it. Otherwise,
and Rod, like I have to mention, not even you providing value this weekend, like $47, but you're also feeding family too.
Yes, I am. I
Tiny
feed family with every ticket. Thank you for reminding me. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, with my foundation, every dime goes to the food or the teddy bears or the backpacks. I provide all the operational expenses and a whole lot more. And so, thank you. I forgot about that. Yeah, we feed a family for every ticket.
Exactly.
We did 1,700. We did 1,700 families last year. We did 1,700 backpacks. Anyway, what are my prediction for 2023? Luckily, the rental market's still pretty strong, although it is plateaued. There's still a huge demand for renters, but I know there's going to be a reckoning in the bridge market or bridge lending space. There's just operators that even if they had a 2% rate cap, their rate has definitely gone up that 2%, and that is huge on a multifamily asset that's multi-million-dollar. And if they didn't get a rate cap, I know one guy that went from 3% to 6.5%. Can you imagine? I mean, so those deals are going to be in trouble. And right now we're still dealing with the people that want to sell, not the ones that have to sell. The ones that have to sell are coming.
Very true.
Okay. So I know everything's going on sale. So pick your vehicle. If it's going to be multifamily, get your butt to my boot camp. It's, you could buy businesses. Businesses are going to suffer. There's going to be business opportunities. There's going to be certainly other asset classes as well. I wouldn't do office right now because we're becoming a virtual society. But, I don't know. I think retail could get hit again if there's a recession. But, I like mobile home parks. I like self-storage as well. But pick your vehicle and learn it right now. Because if you're trying to learn it in the thick of a recession, it's going to be too late because you got to build relationships. You got to learn how to, take a look at deals and have some basic understanding of underwriting, even if you bring somebody in to do the underwriting, but it's like anything. There's a lot to learn. You'll be a little overwhelmed when you come to my boot camp if you've not done anything in multifamily yet. But it's like anything. How do you eat a whale, right? One bite at a time. You just apply yourself, focus on what you think you'd be really good at in the business, and hire a line or partner for the other pieces, and capitalize on what I think is an incredible opportunity that's coming. So thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. By the way, if you want to donate to my foundation, like I said, every dime goes. It's tinyhandsfoundation.org. If you could throw that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. tinyhandsfoundation.org. $23 feeds. I'm sorry, it's $25 now. $25 feeds a family. So appreciate that. And again, every dime and a whole lot more. There's no, like you see these charities and they've got 30% operational costs, No, every dime goes to the food and the backpacks and all that. But
that is truly amazing.
Thank you. And Rod, like I just want to mention something, like how earlier when you mentioned about burning desire, right? You gotta know that, and that's from like Think and Grow Rich. That's what we do. Like they said. So I'm also old school, right? I do a lot of handwritten stuff. So I wrote like what my want is on a piece of note card. I read them like every morning, every night, because that's what Napoleon Hill said.
Yep.
What do you want? And then so I mean, guys, I just want to say it actually works.
Oh, absolutely, it works. Absolutely, it works. And you need to get pictures of everything that you want. Put them around you, like I said.
Yes,
it works. I mean, I've gotten everything in this book except the six-pack.
I wanted to say
I hadn't got that yet. I used to have my picture at the top, my face at the top of this guy.
Now, Ron, I had to say this at some point.
I will tell you, I got a six-pack underneath the layer here because I'm incredibly strong. But you can't see it. I love to eat, but anyway.
I saw the video that was posted of your turkey making skills. So
oh God, you see that? Isn't it hilarious?
We might have to add that to the vision board. Outside of that,
oh yeah, my wife, she literally was on the floor. Yeah,
I think I shared it a dozen times.
Turkey. I burned this turkey, but it was hardly even in there very long. So I was cutting it, and it didn't look like it was done on the inside. So I'm like, "You think it's done?" And she got this on video, and she was screaming. She was laughing so hard.
Oh,
Anyway.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, but by the way, if you guys ever have a question, if you're watching or listening, if you go to rodslinks.com, all my social is there. I answer every single question. So don't hesitate to ask me a question there if you like. But anyway, I appreciate you having me on, guys.
This has been great. We can't thank you enough. Truly a blessing. I'm sure everybody got some value.
Wonderful.
I've got pages and pages of notes.
Wonderful.
Can't thank you enough, Rod. Can't wait to.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, guys, and hopefully some of you I'll see this weekend. Anyway, take care. I'm going to head out.
Definitely.
We appreciate you,
See you later,
Rod.
Rod.
Thank you.
See you
Thanks
later.
so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.